Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/Wisdom of the Sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show, and welcome to Friday's Srimad Bhagavatam study, how to apply sacred literature of the yoga tradition to your life to make your life more joyous, fruitful, grounded, peaceful, connected. Good morning, everybody. It's Friday. We are getting ready for our Wisdom of the Sages retreat next week. Not this weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend. We're actually having a matter of fact, if there's anybody interested in coming to the Seva weekend, Super Soul, we got a couple openings. You can contact me, but last minute. We're going to get some vegan meatballs out of Mara, we think. And then we're hitting the road to Long Beach, California. Haven't signed up for that? Sign up now. There might be a space left. Yoga, 108studio.com. Or the following weekend, the second weekend, bhakticenter.org for our Wisdom of the Sages weekend immersion, hanging out with me, Kaustubha, and Mara. Very excited. Kaustubha, what's up?
So you got a Seva weekend going on this weekend.
Yeah, we're just chopping, burning, the usual stuff. Spring cleaning up. Peppered with kirtan. Want to come up?
Maybe. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Possibly. This is the one where you have to like work the whole weekend?
You work. Well, you work, you sing, you whistle while you work.
Okay.
You know, devotees don't whistle. You ever know that? And a lot of people don't know that. People practicing bhakti are anti-whistlers. This is one thing I learned because when I was new, no one knows this. I'm going to blow everyone's mind right now. If they say that I was whistling in the kitchen, cleaning pots, and I got chastised. I was brand new. Mm-hmm. I was whistling because I whistle. I'm happy. I whistle. And they're like, what are you doing whistling? I was like, what's the matter with whistling? And they're like, whistling attracts ghosts.
Okay.
You ever heard that?
I have heard that.
Whistling attracts. They say it creates a hole in the ether that allows. I don't know what that means. It cuts the ether. Maybe Prabhupada said that. It attracts spirits and allows ghosts to enter.
Thank you for sharing that.
People.
Okay.
Yeah. Nicole thought it was because it spreads saliva. That's not, I don't think, maybe. Several cultures believe. Now everyone's going nuts with this one. Several cultures believe it. It must be some truth in that. Okay, Nathan Dunday. Thank you.
That's one way to determine. That's one form of epistemology. Several cultures believe it, so it must be true.
Must be true. That's how yeah. All right. I've got some, anything you want to mention, Mara, before we dive in?
Oh, I was going to say there's one thing I want to mention. And that was, the passing away of a dear friend and a great, great soul, Mahaprabhu Das, from the Chaupati temple, and from both temples in Mumbai, the original. This was a person, he was an elderly man, right? He was like...
I didn't know him. I don't
know how you didn't know him. He was like such a mainstay of the whole Chaupati temple. You certainly talked to him before. He was always there.
Maybe sometimes as very exalted people act very ordinary.
Yeah, he was like that. He was unassuming. But he was, he and Srinathji, both of them go back to the early days when Prabhupada first came to Mumbai, and he was a lawyer, Mahaprabhu, and he did a lot, because the devotees there, they're just trying to establish themselves there and trying to establish that temple, and it was a constant battle, legal battle, it was just really, really challenging. And having someone like him there, he was like the person they could depend on, like a person that was a bit of an elder and knew his way around and was a lawyer, and he did so much service over the years in so many ways. But he was, like you're saying, he was unassuming. He was just kind, gentle soul, really wonderful, beautiful person. And he passed away yesterday. So our condolences to his family and to all the devotees in Mumbai. He's loved by everyone, this man. One of those people.
One of those people who took that education, that education, and used it to serve. I'm taking my lack of education and trying to serve with it. But there's so many people who are very, very qualified that we know that just take what they do, either their intelligence, like a law. You're establishing temples in India. You need sharp lawyers for stuff like that. And this is the beautiful thing about Bhakti. You don't have to give up your intelligence, your career, or you just engage it in a service that's actually fulfilling, like you're contributing to something bigger than yourself. And Kaustubha, we go to India and we enjoy there's a restaurant in Vrindavan. There's like a beautiful temple grounds and nice places to stay in Mayapur. And really we're like standing on the shoulders of giants. It's the people who've come before us that have just to buy a house in America is a pain in the neck. Imagine purchasing land in India where you're dealing with the government. You're dealing with deeds that don't exist. You're dealing with the local mafia. It's just insane. And these people were just they took on so much of a burden to establish something for generations to come. It's quite beautiful.
You're saying that just reminds me that the Bhaktivedanta ashram in Govardhan, the palace there.
Yeah.
That was also Mahaprabhu that was, because that was exactly what you're saying. Mafia was involved. Getting those land deeds and all that, it was just tricky, difficult stuff. And he was the person that helped secure that property.
Yeah. Anyway, he will be missed.
Yeah.
Well, that being said, I'm going to give you a nugget. You want some nugget? Want a nug?
I do. Every day.
A whiznug. Whiznug. Hashtag whiznug. This is from Kristen. Did Mara just shake her head at me?
Yeah, she
no?
probably did.
I hope that was an Indian yes. You don't think I'm watching out of the corner of my eye, Mara? She's just going.
You know what we call that, Raghu? You know what we call that? What's going on right now?
What's that?
Hashtag private school giggles.
Private school giggles. I know, that was funny. Someone wrote private school giggles. Okay, this is from Christian D Larson, who is he was a sort of like a new thought leader. He was born in the 1800s, but he was one of these prolific authors, metaphysical authors.
Where's he from?
I don't know, actually.
Okay,
Mara, check that.
I think he lived in the Midwest, but was of Norwegian descent. That's what Wikipedia told me this morning.
Okay.
Thank you. I thought you were just you learned that in your education. Anyway, he calls this the optimist creed. Promise yourself to be so strong that nothing can disturb your peace of mind. This is a great one. Promise yourself to be so strong that nothing can disturb your peace of mind. To talk health, happiness, and prosperity to every person you meet. To make all your friends feel that there is something in them, right? Like to believe in people. To look at the sunny side of everything and make your optimism come true. To think only of the best, to work only for the best, and to expect only the best. To be just as enthusiastic about the success of others as you are about your own. That's a big one in Bhakti, right?
Yeah.
We are happy for other people's good fortune. We're not why them? That's not fair. That should have been me. No, that's a bad attitude in Bhakti. To forget the mistakes of the past, right? Instead of keeping a record of others' wrongs. Ever do that one?
Yes, I have.
Mara's, yeah, there's a nod, Mara. That's a healthy nod. To forget the mistakes of the past and press on to the greater achievements of the future. To wear a cheerful countenance at all times and give every living creature you meet a smile. To give so much time to the improvement of yourself that you have no time to criticize others. This guy was so bhakti. To be large for to be too large for worry, too noble for anger, too strong for fear, and too happy to permit the presence of trouble. I got a feeling I would have liked Christian D. Larson as a person. I'm going to put that up on the chat board. If you want to join our little chat board, you can join our Zoom group by emailing Mara. She will happily give you the secret codes. All you got to do is write her at wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com, and you can join our little Zoom family. Okay. Any comments on that? Anybody?
The Optimist Creed. I mean, it
You
was
like
nice.
that?
Yeah, I like it.
It's optimistic. It's a way to live in this world with a little optimism and a little upbeat, and it helps you in your bhakti. It helps you just be happy. We're plagued in this world by envy. You know, this is really these are like these principal tenets of bhakti: envy, competition, greed, bad attitude. If I could just correct my bad attitude, so much of my problems would be over. The problem is I bring these bad attitude when I get into bhakti. I bring that bad attitude. And I think I'm just going to chant Hare Krishna or chant mantras or go to kirtans, but I still got my bad attitude, and therefore I offend people. I envy them. I'm unhappy for their good fortune. That's a big issue, man. And I'm creating problems wherever I go. I can't bring my bad habits into sacred circles. Write that one down, Mara. Don't bring your bad habits into sacred circles. We got a sacred circle here. Let's keep it holy. We've been zooming out lately in the Bhagavatam, trying to see a bigger picture, bigger than my conception of me. There is an eternal me I forgot about. Yesterday's class was great, I felt, Kaustubha, because it's this idea of once I get out of my own head and understand I'm part of something bigger, a community, I stop all my worry, all my distress. When it's all about me, right? When people get caught up in addiction and depression, it's all about them and all they're going through. Hey, you want to get rid of depression? One way to help you get rid of depression, if you suffer from it, take care of other people. You ever meet those people like, I want love in my life? How about start loving people? Love people. You don't worry, who's going to love me? Why won't people love me? One way to get rid of getting out of your own head is to take care of other people that actually need help. And that's one way to sort yourself out in this concept of seva, or right in the 12-step they do that too. It's you're sponsoring somebody, your sponsee, they call it. But we get out of our own head by serving others, and then we realize others got issues. Others got issues too. It's not just me and my issues. And then we realize that community is part of even a bigger community. And then we start seeing, as we zoom out, it makes us realize, guys, we're so tiny here. We're so tiny and insignificant, and we're part of something so much bigger. That's our whole thing. Kaustubha, what do you think?
I like that. And I think that's important. Yeah, it's. I think you kind of hit on that formally yesterday, where it's understanding one's own insignificance. That's not problematic, right? It's just factual, right? And the more that you zoom out, the more that we're really not thinking very deeply if we don't realize our own insignificance. But that doesn't mean that doesn't become some kind of lack of self-esteem. Because even though we're tiny, we're made of that spiritual energy, which is absolutely beautiful and powerful and connected to the source of everything. So we're small, but the quality is really good. Right?
You know who gets this, Kaustubha?
Who gets it?
Ants, honeybees, right? Worker bees. The one worker bee is not going like, I'm so insignificant. What am I doing here? I have no worth. No, they've got total worth. They're part of a collective whole. We have our worth because we're a spiritual being and we're working within our dharma. That's what our worth is. I'm not going to get in my head and think I'm worthless. We have worth, but we have to do our worthy activities. and there is worthy activity calling us forward. We all have some contribution in this world that we're meant to work for. And as we refine ourselves in bhakti, it starts to fine tune what our contribution is. You are very fine tuned, man.
No,
you know exactly what to give.
Well, you know what we got to get into right now? Mantras.
Shastra, sacred literature.
Sacred literature, mantras.
And secretive mantras. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayet. Before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of our conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I'm born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers have opened my eyes, forcing open my eyes, presently, actively forcing open my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus-like feet. All right, sir.
You ready?
Direct us,
Well-
Mr. Rourke.
Okay. Is that what his name was?
Kaustubha's been calling me Tattoo because when people start coming on Zoom, I go, they're here, Mr. Rourke.
Well, we discovered that not everyone remembers Tattoo.
No one remembers Fantasy Island. It was like one of the better shows. Actually, you never can tell it's a good show until you go back and watch it 30 years later, 40 years later. Then you're like, wait a second. I did that with Welcome Back, Kotter, which I was convinced was the funniest show of all time. And then I watched it like not that long ago, and I was like, this is so dumb. This is so dumb. I can't believe I loved this show so much. Okay.
So we began the 11th chapter of the third canto called Calculation of Time from the Atom. And more, I think we only read one verse, right? But the first, the first 4 verses of this chapter are going to describe the idea that space and time are like correlative, like features of reality, and they go together. Because when we measure time, generally we do it in relation to space, right? Like for instance, like what is a day? The day is, like if you took a spot on the Earth and just held that spot, and as the Earth spun around, when the Earth got right back to that spot, you would have one day. So you're measuring it by space, or what is a year? The year is, the amount of time that it takes for the Earth to go around the sun. And so you're measuring, the time it takes to pass through a certain amount of space. And so what's going to happen in these first 4 verses is it's going to say, hey, one way to measure time would be you take the smallest ingredient, the paramanu, right? Which here is being translated as atom, although in one sense it's a loose translation because paramanu means the ultimate particle, the particle that you can't break it down any further. And atoms at one time were thought to be that, and then it was realized that they can be broken down further as well. So if you take the amount of time it takes the sun to move one paramanu's distance, then that's a measurement of time. Right. And I assume that when we say that, we're meaning like the sun moving. If you're considering it from a geocentric point of view, the sun moving, then how long would it take the sun to move that distance? That would be. Then they're going to give that measurement a name, right? And that's like some really, really tiny amount of time, really. So just like you can break down. The atom and down to this paramanu. So we're going to break time down that far to that measurement, and then we're going to start to build that up and build it up. Then we're going to get to the length of time of it's going to get into more reasonable amounts of time that we're used to, like muhurtas are going to be discussed. Do you know how long a muhurta is?
48 minutes.
Yeah, I think they have a slightly different definition of it here, but yeah, it's like that. I think it's about a half
Isn't
an
it
hour.
interesting? We're relearning time. They break time down differently.
They break it down different.
Very interesting stuff. Just even getting into the lunar
Rogu's
month. It's pretty interesting.
Science thing is coming out of him.
Science Raghu.
Were you
Yeah,
like that
it's-
when you were a kid? Were you into like, did you have like
No.
a little science
No.
set or something like that?
Oh yeah, I did have a chemistry set. Thank
Chemistry set, yeah.
you. Made some stuff.
And so then in any case, it's going to build up, and it's going to build up to the length of a human life. And then it's going to show how insignificant that is, right? How in one sense a human life is like, if you go back to that Paramanu, I think it's called the lava, is the smallest measurement, this tiny measurement. How
Of
many
time.
of those, how many of those it takes just to make an hour, what to speak of a lifetime, right? So our lifetime is huge compared to that. But then
There's the famous, beautiful verse, Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha Sarvasiddhikoi, right?
Yeah, what is it?
Sarvasiddhikoi.
Yeah, Sadhu Sangha Sarva Shastra Koi, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hoy. That Sadhu Sangha, which means
Mara. Caught her.
No, I was saying
Choking on a vegan meatball.
you kind of pretend you're choking. That's giving you time to think. Like, excuse me, I'm just swallowing my. Sadhu Sangha means.
association of sadhus, association
right.
of teachers.
Yeah.
There you go.
So according to all the Shastra, Sarva Shastra, out of
Sarva
all the
Shastra
sacred
Koi.
literature,
All the Shastra says this. It all supports
all
it.
the Shastras is Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha. Just a moment, the smallest fraction of time with a sadhu will change the trajectory of your entire life.
It could
Who
actually
believes
even
that? Come on.
Sarva Siddhi Hoy. It gives all perfection. It can give all perfection.
And gives all perfection.
Yeah.
Sarvasita ahoy.
All right.
Chips ahoy.
Chips Ahoy. So okay. So in any case,
Okay.
then we're gonna then so in one sense, the lifetime of the human being will seem like, oh my God, it's so many of these little lava matras, right? It's like tons and tons and tons of them. But then how insignificant that life of the human is compared to the life, even a day, of Brahma. What to speak of the life of Brahma. And by the time we get to the end of the chapter, you know what we find out, Raghu? That even the life of Brahma is just as insignificant as that tiny little lava matra is to us.
Sure.
So it's way, way, way beyond us, but it's just one breath. The
It's-
whole life of Brahma is one breath.
It
of
gets
Lord
us
Vishnu.
into transcendental thinking when we start to look at time.
Yeah.
That's why I like going to graveyards. That's why I collect bones and skulls. That's what
It has nothing to do with the tamasic element in your life.
No, it's got to do with the transcendental element that we are here for a moment. That's why I like to look at old photographs. Do you like to do that? Look at old photographs. How
little bit.
bodies are always changing. Then you look at people from like the 1800s and 1700s, and yeah, you should see all the things I subscribe to on Instagram.
Subscribe to.
Hashtag Civil War photography. Hashtag old photos. Hashtag, because it just makes you look at time in the biggest picture of things, and it makes me realize that I think me and my problems and they're so important, and they're just
Right,
momentary.
they
And
had
it
their
makes me
problems
seem
back in
like
the
I'm just
Civil
going-
War, right? Like they were all caught up in their problems.
We've got. So and because of that, what it really does is not to make me lament or think, oh, the good old days. It makes me think of this life is short. What do I want to contribute? I will say, being north of 50, being north of 55, I'm starting to think of like, how much time
you
do
see
I
what
have
you
left
just
to
did,
live?
Raghu? You conflated, or you showed the connection between space and time. You said being north of, right? But continue.
Well, being north of 55 now,
Yeah.
I'm starting to think like, okay, how much time do I got left here on this planet?
Oh, I'd say
5
at
years?
best.
10 years? You don't have to answer. But, at best, right?
When I
At
take your
best.
weight and height ratio and put that on the scale and
Your body mass index.
body mass
Yeah,
index.
but you think, what, I got 10 years left? My father and
I
my
hope you got more than that.
grandfather
I think you're gonna go a long time.
died
Your
under
mother's how old?
65.
How old's your mother?
She's 94.
Yeah,
She's
I
94.
think you got a lot of time with this, Raghu.
My point is, though, I got to start thinking like this
Okay.
because it makes me get really focused on, like, what do I really want to contribute? What am I wasting my time with? You can't buy back this time. What am I filling my ears with? What am I filling my mouth with, my eyes with? Who am I associating with? What is my contribution in this lifetime?
And also, all these things that I'm thinking are so important. They're just little blips in time, right? And I my existence is something that's way beyond that, but I get caught up in it. I get lost. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So why don't we read? Why don't we just go ahead and start with text 1 again?
Alrighty. The material manifestation's ultimate particle, which is indivisible and not formed into a body, is called the atom, or the paramanu.
Paramanu.
It exists always as an invisible identity, even after the dissolution of all forms. The material body is but a combination of such atoms, but is misunderstood by the common man. Atoms, text 2, are the ultimate state of the manifest universe. When they stay in their own forms without forming different bodies, they are called the unlimited oneness. There are certainly different bodies in physical forms, but the atoms themselves form the complete manifestation. You're not going to get this in a yoga class. This is good stuff.
This is a yoga class.
You know what I mean? This is a yoga class. One can estimate time by measuring the movement. Imagine a bunch of yoga class and they just start reading this. One can estimate time by measuring the movement of the atomic combination of bodies. Time is the potency of the almighty personality of Godhead, Hari, who controls all physical movement, although he is not visible in the physical world. Atomic time is measured according to its covering a particular atomic space, atomic time. Mm-hmm. The time which covers the unmanifest aggregate of atoms is called the great time.
Okay. So let's just stop.
What's that in Sanskrit, the great time?
Mahakala, maybe? Let's take a look. Oh, Paramo Mahan. Kala Paramo Mahan. So the Mahan means the great, and Parama means like the super great, and Kala means time. So it's saying that you have measurements here. Atomic time is measured according to the covering of a particular atomic space, like one atom. Or like atomic time means you're calculating time according to how long it takes the sun to cross an atom, or a number of atoms. And then the great time means how long it would take the sun to cross all the atoms. Like if you took I guess there's a couple ways you could look at it, right? One way to look at it is if you lined up every atom in the universe and you took the sun across the whole thing. But I think more what it's saying is the sun is going to have a certain pattern, right? And again, we have been, science classes have drilled into our head that, hey, a long time ago people had this geocentric idea where the sun was moving and the earth was stable. And now we know that that's false. We know that the sun is stable and the earth is moving. But what these teachers are going to say is, you know what? They're all moving, right?
They're all moving.
Yeah.
It's not false.
Yeah. And so now the sun would have a pattern that it's meant to complete in the course of the entire length of the universe, right? And that would be called the great time. So that would be your largest measurement of time in the universe, down to the smallest to the largest is all being covered here. But the commentary here is interesting. Srila Prabhupada writes, time and space are two correlative terms. Time is measured in terms of its covering a certain space of atoms. Standard time is calculated in terms of the movements of the sun. The time covered by the sun in passing over an atom is calculated as atomic time. So that's the smallest measurement. Right? The greatest time of all covers the entire existence of the non-dual manifestation. So like, in other words, it covers the entire history of the universe. All the planets rotate and cover space, and space is calculated in terms of atoms. Each planet has a particular orbit for rotating, in which it moves without deviation, and similarly the sun has its orbit. the complete calculation of the time of creation, maintenance, and dissolution, measured in terms of the circulation of the total planetary systems until the end of creation, is known as the supreme Kala. So in other words, a true Vedic astrologer or someone like Lord Brahma could say, what's going to happen here is all of the heavenly bodies are moving in patterns. And they're going to start at the beginning of the universe, and they're going to go and go and go until the end, right? They all have, it's measured out how far they're meant to go. And then at the end, that the length of that entire universe is known as the supreme Kala, the ultimate time. Ultimate measurement of time, you could say, right? So those verses that we just read, 1 through 4, they explained how time has its small and big divisions. We've just heard that. And now we're going to hear the actual divisions of time broken down. Texts 5 through 13. 5 through 15.
The division of a gross time is calculated as follows. 2 atoms make 1 double atom. 3 double atoms make 1 hexatom. This hexatom is visible in the sunshine, which enters through the holes of the window screen. What? One can clearly see the hexatom goes up towards the sky. So you're saying you can see a hexatom with your naked eye?
Yeah, but you know what? It's interesting because if you look at this scientifically, I heard Sadhuputta speaking about this. And he said, so if you take the smallest, like for instance, a proton or a quark, like the smallest things that we know about now, and you multiply it by 6, you still can't see it.
Yeah.
Although this is saying under certain light coming through a screen, you could see something. But when I was reading Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, he mentioned that this might not be seen by a human, but there's certain insects that could see that. So I don't know if that's exactly relates to this verse or not, but he mentioned that in his commentary that what's seen through a screen isn't necessarily seen by the human eye.
Well, also they didn't have screen windows in the Bhagavatam days.
Bubba, you think they didn't have screens? Come on.
No.
Bubba.
You think they have screens? Come on.
I do. You think that's a natural. You can make a screen out of anything. You can, and you don't think they had metal. You don't think they had, thread or things that you can make a screen out of to keep mosquitoes and other things away. Of course, they had screens. Where'd you get that, Raghu? Come on,
Mara. Can you do some research? Origin of screens, please.
It's not like it's a rocket ship or something. And even that, they had. So
maybe some gauze.
You think they were so backward that they couldn't come up with a screen?
Like hitting each other with big bones, dinosaur bones.
So what do you think they were doing, Raghu?
All right, the division of time. Okay, text 6. The time duration needed for the integration of the 3 Trasarenus is called a Shruti, and 100 Shrutis make up 1 Veda. 3 Vedas make up 1 lava. And there we go.
Lava macha sadhu sangha.
Right.
I still think we're at about like 1/11 of a second.
We're like almost like learning a whole new metric system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we have to learn a whole new system of measurement.
Well, a lava is 1/84th of a second.
I wonder what weight is. Do they do different weight too?
Weight is going to get mentioned soon because they're going to give another way to measure time, which is if you take a copper pot and you drill a hole in it a certain size. If you take a certain weight of copper pot.
It's so interesting, huh? Every culture, ancient cultures had ways to measure things in different ways, and they're all like somehow connected to the celestial bodies. Or how do you figure out weight?
What do you mean, how do you figure out weight?
I guess you have some standard. Somebody started a standard of weight.
You got to have a standard. You got to start with something. That's what's being done here, right?
How do you start it? Who started this? And what does it mean if you weigh 14 stones? What does that mean?
Well, they always do. Here, there's going to be measurement of fingers. And when you hear it, you say, well, this is going to be so inaccurate. But like even we have like the measurement of a foot, So I assume.
We call it a foot.
We call it a foot, right? Because it's
Mara,
like
look up how'd they get the name foot? I've got to say, Mara's slow in the go lately, Mara. Yeah. Because there's people throwing stuff up on the board quicker than you.
Sorry, problem.
Nancy R. is just like sitting there waiting for me to ask a question. She's like, I'm on it. I'm going for Mara's position.
I want to go to California.
You're taking it cheaply, Mara.
Now I don't remember what you asked me.
The screen,
I don't either.
the origin of screens.
Stone,
I mean,
origin-
was she
how much-
was she
Oh,
supposed to
origin of
take that?
foot.
Was she
Origins
supposed to
of
take that seriously about looking up the origin of screens? I don't know.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
It does seem like it goes back to like as long as recorded time, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right.
But
well,
I have the measurements here. One Shruti is 8 13,500ths of a second. One Vedha is 8 135ths of a second. One Lava, which we're at now, is 8 45ths of a second.
the hell.
A small
Nanda
measurement. still.
Chandra knew that. He wrote that on the board.
Okay.
Okay. The duration of time of 3 lavas equals 1 namesa. The combination of 3 namesas equals 1 kshana. 5 shanas combined together makes 1 kashta. And 15 kashtas make 1 lagu.
Okay, a lagu, now we're up to 2 minutes. A lagu is 2
A
minutes.
lagu, yeah. Like they say, there's yoga pose, lagu vajrasana. Lagu, isn't lagu, lagu means like little. It means something like little. I guess it's a measurement.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. 15 lagus make 1 nadika,
What about
which is also
luglu?
called a dunda.
How many luglus does that equal, Raghunath?
That's a joke. No one even gets that joke. A luglu is like a type of sweet ball. 2 dundas make 1 muhurta, and 6 or 7 muhurtas. 6 or 7 dundas make 1/4 of a day.
Now, why would that be now suddenly 6 or 7?
Yeah, maybe
Because the day is longer. Sometimes the day is longer, sometimes the night is shorter, depending on where you're at.
Yes, Kaustubha, you yourself are a physicist of sorts, according to human calculation.
Okay, so now we're up to what was the latest calculation we just had?
2 dundas make 1
muhurta?
muhurta, and 6 or 7 dundas make 1/4 of a day. So if a
Okay.
muhurta is like 48-ish minutes,
Yeah, here I think they're calling muhurta a 3-hour period. Here they have a word praha. I got different things, but okay. In any case, we're getting to some like reasonable measurements that we can understand
Okay.
now.
2 solar. The
What
aggregate
text
of
are you
2
on?
fortnights. Here we go. Text 11. The aggregate of 2 fortnights is 1 month.
Fortnight, Raghu.
I
Fortnight.
said that yesterday.
That
Fortnight,
was it.
right? It's from the full moon to the new moon. From the new moon to the full moon. That's
Right.
a fortnight. That's 2 fortnights. And that makes up 1 lunar month from the full moon to the full moon. It's such a great way to measure, isn't it? And it keeps you in tune with the moon, which is important.
Okay, so 15 days and nights are a fortnight. That
I'm going to do a little moon study for tomorrow's class.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, hold it. You skipped over stuff, Raghu. You skipped over the pot. The text 9.
I'm sorry. The measuring pot for 1 nadika or dunda can be prepared with 6 pala weight, 14 ounces, a pot of copper, in which a hole is bored with a gold probe weighing 4 masa and measuring 4 fingers long. When the pot is placed on water, the time before the water overflows in the pot is called 1 dunda.
Okay. Mara, that's your
Strangely
homework. Okay.
fascinating, completely boring.
That's your science project, Mara. Tomorrow you have to get a copper pot that weighs 6 palas. You got to bore a hole in it with a gold probe, weighing 4 masas and measuring 4 fingers long, and then you got to place it in water. And if that's not exactly 1 nautica, but when it fills up, we got to try again. Okay.
It's amazing how some people are like, I'm looking at the Zoom faces, and some people are like, oh, this is great. They love this nerdy science stuff. And some people are like, I'm so bored right now. Can we tell a story of a demon getting killed? Please, any demon.
Well, again, the whole point, this is the idea, what is kind of the way that I understand this chapter, Raghunath, is it is a bit tedious, right? But it's like kind of like the way that whether it's like an artist or a comedian or an even athlete or something like that, like you kind of stretch something out,
Right.
and then bam, You know, it kind of builds you up. It's kind of preparing you for the message that's going to come at the end.
What's the message?
The message is how insignificant even Lord Brahma's life is.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
it's like, and so what to speak of ours.
Can we just hear that message and jump over it?
But it wouldn't sink in if you didn't go through all this tedium on the way.
All right, let's go through. Let's go on through this minutia.
Let's go through the minutia. So that they're 4 fingers long. When the pot is placed on water, the time before the water overflows in the pot is called one dunda.
One dunda. 2 solar movements. By the way, speaking of dunda, we're having a Sweet Baby Krishna tonight. 8:30.
What does that have to do with dunda?
I'm gonna start doing Sweet Baby Krishna like for a half
Every day.
hour, like every day maybe.
You gonna do that? Like every day, maybe.
Every day maybe. But we're gonna announce it here. But today, 8:30. It's only gonna be a half hour though. But I figure if I can get Krishna book, or actually I'm gonna do the 10th canto in my life every day for a half hour, my life is going to be exponentially better.
Yeah.
Who wants to join me on that path? Come on.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, David Charles Wilson, Clayton
Okay,
Wilson.
8:30
Wilsons are
tonight.
into it.
Yeah, that means 5:30 for you Californians, and the Europeans. You can figure out the math. You're gonna have to stay up late.
Okay. What happened to Mara? She's
Okay.
she's gone. She's looking for a copper pot or something.
He's rolling meatballs,
All right.
vegan meetballs.
Let's get her back here.
She'll be back.
All right. Text 10.
Text 10. It is calculated that there are 4 praharas, which are also called yamas, in the day and 4 in the night of the human being. Similarly, 15 days and nights are a fortnight, and there are 2 fortnights, the white and the black, right? That's what they call that moon. They call it the Krishna Paksha. Have you ever heard of that?
I've heard that, yeah.
Krishna Paksha, the dark fortnight.
So that means white and black, I assume, means the waxing and the waning.
Waxing and the waning. That's what we call it in America.
Mhm.
The aggregate of 2 fortnights is 1 month, and that period is 1 complete day and night for the Pita planets.
Okay, so that's interesting. Relative time.
Never thought about
right?
that. There's different days and nights for different planets.
Well,
Isn't it
so in
interesting?
other words,
It does. It takes you right outside of your Kaustubha reality and puts us in like there's multiple realities. They're all subjective. And then there's like an absolute subjective, an absolute objective.
but it's saying that there are other planets in the universe where one of their days equals one of our months.
So interesting. Okay, 2 solar movements make one
Hold
day.
on.
And
2 such months.
2 of such months comprise 1 season.
Now that's interesting, right? Because in India there's 6 seasons, not 4 like we have.
Oh, I get it.
6, right?
I get it.
Mhm.
Because they have 6 seasons. We have 4 seasons.
Right.
2 of such months, and we try to push it like that's the way it is. There's 4
We
seasons.
try to push it
Yeah.
on everyone.
We're trying to push it. No, there's 4 seasons. Figure it out. We're so pushy with our belief system. This is the calendar. It starts with Jesus. Okay, that's the calendar. But we have other prophets, and we've measurement time from other great sages. Sorry, this is the way it's going. Jesus calendar.
And give us all your wealth too.
Hell. And give us all your money. 2 solar movements.
Hold it. You still haven't completed this. 2 such months comprise.
2 of such comprise 1 season, and 6 months comprise 1 complete movement of the sun from south to north. And where the heck is Mara?
It's half a year. Mara, where'd you go? You here?
I'm just scrolling.
Do we have
through.
to unmute her? Is she somewhere around?
She's muted, banging on the screen. Help me!
I don't see her. She's gone.
I don't see her. Okay. She's probably driving around. Okay. Influential stars, planets, luminaries, and atoms all over the universe.
Hold it. You skipped text 12.
2 solar movements make up 1 demigods.
1 day and night of the demigods.
2 solar movements. What's a solar movement again?
It sounds like a solar movement is half a year from this.
Yeah.
Or maybe it means 1 full year. I'm not quite sure.
And the combination of the day and night is 1 complete calendar year for the human being.
Okay. There you go. Yeah.
The human being has a duration of life of 100 years.
Okay.
Ish.
So, yeah. So we just built up
Right?
from a measurement that was 1300 and 13,500 of a second
Yeah.
up to the 100-year lifetime of a human being.
Mm.
Okay. Makes our lifetime seem like a very long time. in comparison.
Nathan Dunday put up the seasons on the board. If you want to know, spring is Vashant, summer, Grishma, monsoon, Varsha. That's where they get the word Barshana, like Barshana, where Radharani grew up, because they say she's like a rain cloud of love. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, beautiful.
Thought I'd just share some interesting things. Autumn. Can you name autumn, Kaustubha, without looking? I'm looking at your eyes.
Sharad.
Sharad means, Sharad. Krishna is known Sharad Bihari. He enjoys the autumn season because that's when the big moon, big beautiful moon is, and the rasa dance is. Pre-winter, Hemant. And winter is Shishir. Okay. There are 5 different names for the orbits of the sun, the moon, the stars, and the luminaries in the firmament, and they each have their own samvatsara. Hope I didn't offend Mary. Think I offended her?
I don't think so.
I'm going to apologize to her when I text her. Next thing you read, I'm going to text her an apology. Okay. Ovidura, the sun enlivens all living entities with his unlimited heat and light. I love how they're calling the sun he diminishes the duration of life of all living entities in order to release them from their illusion of the material attachment. And he enlarges the path of elevation to the heavenly kingdom.
Oh, okay. Slow down. How does the sun do that? How does the sun diminish the duration of all living entities in order to release them from their illusion of material attachment? And how does the sun enlarge the path of elevation to the heavenly kingdom?
Well, it diminishes them because every rising and setting of the sun diminishes their life.
And that is meant to wake us up.
Yeah, right? That's the time factor. Meaning the planets are connected with time. All of this is connected with time. And our bodies are matter, and they're subject to time.
So if there was no time, we might never wake up, right? Like if we didn't keep losing everything, we might not think more deeply about life.
Well, we'd probably be liberated then.
No, right? Well, in one sense, liberation is you can say liberation means you're free from the influence of time, but it also includes freedom from the influence of the gunas. Freedom from the influence of the law of karma. Right.
What was that poem you read or I read? And it was the thing about when you're in love, there is no time. Time stands still.
That was a nugget sometime.
It was like one of the nugs.
Yeah. But so in any case, it's saying, in one sense, it's giving credit to the sun for moving time, for making us aware of the movement of time, so that we'll wake up and become released from our illusion of material attachment. And then it says that the sun enlarges the path of elevation to heavenly planets. You know how that is?
How? Because
when you do all the ritual that's needed to go to the planet, you need to do it at the right time. Remember when we had your Drew, what was his name? Drew Lawrence on? And he was talking about it's when it comes to when you look at a wedding chart, it's not just that they're compatible, but you also have to find the right moment to have the wedding.
I know. You could screw up the whole marriage with your random wedding times.
So here this is saying that the sun, by giving us a way to measure time, can help us understand when's the most auspicious time to do the rituals to ascend to the heavenly planets.
Everything is done. Conceiving a child at a certain time. Mm-hmm. What else they do according to time in India?
Wake up, go to sleep.
I mean like holy things at a particular time,
like rituals,
like a wedding, like a conception.
Well, like they have all the samskars, like you mean like hair cutting, first grain, all of that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's special times in
rites of passage.
Rites of passage. Yeah, there's auspicious, right? Grandfather Bhishma, there was an auspicious time to leave his body, and he had the gift of leaving his body at an auspicious time.
Right. When the sun was in a certain phase, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? Someone should research that. When was it? It was like they say something like that when the moon was traveling north.
It was on the.
Oh yeah.
What is it? The Sankranti.
Yeah. Yeah. What's that called? I can't remember.
I'm forgetting the first part. What was this?
I'm having a
Sun
brain
Grunty.
freeze.
So where is? You know who I'm missing? I was just thinking about this when you were saying hello to everyone. I'm missing a DT, or correspondent.
You miss it, DT.
Makara
yes.
Sankranti. Makara
Makara
Sankranti.
Sankranti. Thank you.
Yeah.
Where's all our Indian correspondents? Well, we do have Damien Vijay Sakadas, but he looks Indian, but I don't think he's Indian. All right. Mara is back.
Mara,
and
where did she go?
She's
Let's get her
hiding
back
out
online.
under
Does
a
she need to
disguised
unmute?
name now. Her picture's not. She's got a weak connection.
Yeah, sorry. Upstate internet
Oh, man.
problems.
It wasn't the
It's
same.
okay. I
without
thought
you.
I've offended you. And if I
Raghunath
did,
is very apologetic. Raghunath,
No, I think
now
it's
please share your
important
apology.
for devotees to always say you're sorry. And just in case you've made an offense, because we could wreck our spiritual life, please forgive me, Mara, for any offenses.
I take no offense, Prabhu. I just have a poor internet connection.
Please forgive me, Mara, for any offense that I may have made.
Please forgive the internet.
Raghu,
Okay, let's continue.
you
on.
also please forgive me.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, you're freaking Prabhu. You can't offend me.
Okay.
You can
Matthew
slap me
Seva,
right across
please
the
forgive me.
face,
Yoga
huh?
Soul, forgive me. Clayton, David Charles Wilson, Lloyd Pack, forgive me.
Please forgive me.
Thank you.
All right, we only got 3 minutes left, Mara. What should we do? Take away stuff? What's our takeaway? What can you take home? What can we put in our pocket for the weekend? What can I tattoo on my body? What do you got?
I got some tattoos for you.
Okay.
Optimism helps Bhakti. Short,
Yes, it
sweet. I think
does.
I'd make a good tattoo. Don't
By the
bring
way, Mara,
back.
you gotta. I got one more thing for you to do.
Okay, sure.
Always send me these things as soon as the
Okay.
show's over because it makes it easy.
Okay. Don't bring bad habits into sacred circles.
Good one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Don't bring bad habits into sacred circles.
Get out of your own head by serving others.
Yes, good one. Not a tattoo, but I like it.
Life is short. What do I want to contribute?
Mug.
That's all I got.
That's pretty good.
All
All
Yeah.
right, we'll take it. Well, there you go. There's a Friday, and remember. And there's
Oh,
a
hey,
teaser.
big thing. Are we off tomorrow and on Sunday? Is that the idea? I
We're
think
off
it is. I
tomorrow
think
and
that's
on
what we
Sunday.
discussed.
There's no show tomorrow.
Because of
Unless we-
the.
Well, because we're doing a savor retreat, and it's a little problematic.
Okay, so let's do question and answers on Sunday. Q&A is on Sunday at 8 a.m.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, and if you want
And
to,
then no program tomorrow.
no program
correct?
tomorrow. I'm gonna miss
You with that?
everybody. Yeah.
Well, you'll be at
Unless
your
we-
save a weekend.
Unless we do a set, you know what? I could do a. Maybe I do what do you call it? Maybe I do my morning class. I'll do it. I'll do it live. We could do that. I'll put it on the. Do we have a message board for everyone? Do we have a way to reach all these people? I'll do it on Patreon. Tomorrow morning.
If you want to do a Patreon program, that's another thing. We can announce it on Patreon if you're going to do anything tomorrow morning. But it won't be the regular thing, right?
It won't be the show. It won't be the regular show. Kaustubha, I'll see you at 8:00 on Sunday for some Q&A. If you got a Q, we'll give you an A. Just email your Qs to Mara, wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com, and she will get back to you immediately with or she will give them to us immediately, and we'll add them to our Q&A day list. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Really appreciate having this morning accountability, and I'm looking forward to Sweet Baby Krishna tonight at 8:30. If you want to join our Sweet Baby Krishna marathon, it's patreon.com/wisdom of the sages. That's how you can support us if you like what we're doing. It's really appreciated because we like to give as much time to this show as we can, and we really love this growing community. It not only is great pleasure for us, it gives us great joy to do it. Thanks, everybody. And this is the best part of the day. We get to dance in front of a computer camera.